Hello everybody, I'm Snipey is Fun, and in today's video, I'm going to be bringing all of you a review, and a different type of review that I'm normally known for doing. I normally do reviews. You normally have seen me in the past do reviews for video games. Here today, I'm going to be doing my first ever manga, my first ever graphic novel review, and you probably already know what it is if you read the title below me, although you probably know what it is, but at the same time probably don't know what it is. And that's because today's review is going to be on Anamex Beast Armor Volume 1, a graphic novel, a manga, a new one really in fact, and the reason why you guys might not know exactly what this story is because it's more of a local manga around where I live, because it's basically a manga made by a person I went to school with and his girlfriend. It's a two-person job, very local. They were able to get it online. You could order it. I will put the information below in the description for how you can order it online if you really want to go and, order this thing and get Volume 1. Right now, Volume 1 is the only volume that's out as of now. It's been out since late last year, which I've had my issues since then. I just haven't had a chance to review it yet. So, here I am finally doing it. I'm going to be doing a short, sweet, simple, quick review on my thoughts on Volume 1, what I think about it, what I think are the good things, the bad things, and my overall recommendation, my overall final thoughts on the book. But that's about it, so stay tuned after the intro. The final time you're going to actually be seeing this intro that you've been seeing me have for about 2 years. This is the final time I'm using it, and the last time I'm going to use this intro is going to be for my review on Anamex Beast Armor. So stay tuned after the last time this intro will show up, and then I find myself on the road to finding a new intro. Stay tuned after the intro for my review on Anamex Beast Armor. The first category I really want to get into talking about in terms of my review for Anamex Beast Armor Volume 1 is basically the story, the setting of the book, of the story. The story, the setting of the manga, of the graphic novel, of this. Basically, it takes place in I'm assuming an alternate type of dimension, probably set in the future on a planet called Beta Star. And basically it's about, the name of the book says, without going into specifically any spoilers here, this review is not going to have any spoilers, the Anamex, which are basically these warriors that they train in school to become the warriors to protect the city of Ryoku, where they go and train so they can master their Anamex forms, which is basically like it says, Anamex Beast Armor. These people have this DNA, this special ability where they could turn into a specific beast and use the powers of that beast, to fight, protect, and whatnot. So they basically go to school to train and master these abilities, use their energy, their powers, master their transformations and whatnot. So that's essentially the main aspect of at least Volume 1, is talking about that aspect of the story. And the main character, Haru, is one of those Anamex that go to school and trains to one day protect Beta Star and the world and whatnot from outside forces. Because it's basically not trying to go into too much of a spoiler here, especially because since I don't know how the story is going to continue from here. It's just my own two thoughts. Supposedly, I'm assuming they use the school so they can have these types of warriors, because basically some characters reference past events that happened in the past, where maybe some of these Anamex fought and died trying to protect these people, so they're trying to raise new ones to continue to protect them. And basically the whole story and settings for Volume 1, which it doesn't really get too far into the story, is about them practicing, the students acquiring their rank to be in school, the lower and higher ranks depending on how strong they are and how much they can use their energies and their transformation abilities and whatnot. And then practicing and going to classes to learn both mentally and physically how to master these abilities, and the main character Haru getting into this school and his first ever adventures, making friends and rivals and whatnot. There's friendship and there's conflict in the first issue, without really going into too much detail that would kind of spoil a bit of it. And really, that's as far as the story and the setting goes. They basically introduce Haru, introduce a few other main characters. They go to school, they train, and they learn they learn some abilities and what certain characters know how to do, and what certain characters have to learn in order to improve their skills, train, and get better. Really, the story and setting, I thought it was good. For a good Volume 1 to start the story off, I feel for a general start, I think they were onto something with the story and settings of Anamex Beast Armor. The next category I want to talk about is the characters. 6 main characters, namely, that were introduced in Volume 1. 6 major characters, I should say. There's a lot of side characters, but there were 6 major characters that were introduced. Haru, which is the main lead character, the general manga, anime-ish, hero. He wants to improve, he wants to save the world, he wants to basically step out of from under the shadow of his father, who is also a major character in the story. His father's name is Hiroshi, and he's basically the headmaster, one of these head guys of Ryoko, of the school. He's basically this highly looked up to warrior that basically he's loving and caring for his son. He wants the best from his son. He wants his son to improve. He wants his son to go to the school and become this great warrior that will one day protect them and whatnot. There's Emi, who's this. Emi and Tetsuo are 2 friends that Haru makes friends with in the school, more so through conflicts that he made, and they eventually grow to, like each other a lot. Supposedly Emi, not trying to go into too much spoiler, especially because I don't know exactly where it's going, but supposedly something happened to her parents. I think they did die in the past, and she has some conflicts wanting to fight, to avenge them or to succeed them or something like that. That's not too spoiler-ish. There's but it's kind of a main plot point for her. Tetsuo is basically he's a strong but friendly type of guy. He wants to he wants to improve himself. He wants to become stronger, and he's the first friend alongside Emi that Haru makes in the school because how I said how Haru's father Hiroshi was this great warrior. When Haru went into the school, everyone had such high expectations for him, and Tetsuo kind of pushes him out in the class to show off his skills. And Haru, even though he's the son of the great Hiroshi, is not exactly him. I'm not going to try to say anything that specifically happens, but Haru is both his dad and himself, and he wants to prove that with what he does in the school. There's also Genzu, which is kind of the rival type character, the bully. He kind of picks on people, and he's this really strong student that kind of uses his his fighting abilities to kind of prove himself to people and bully people. And Haru's the first day Haru starts is essentially, like, they do have a conflict with each other, so he's kind of like the antagonist as of now in the series. And then there's also Aaron, who's like this other side student. He basically has had he's kind of failed in the past, which kind of puts, like, you know, problems on him now and why he doesn't want to do certain things in the story. So that's basically the main major six characters as of now, as of Volume 1. And they kind of all have, like, a bit of character development to show why they are the way they are. So without going into too much detail, that's essentially, you know, and also not to go into too spoilerish on any of these characters, especially for Volume 1, that's essentially what, like, that's basically my thoughts on the six major characters of, you know, Anamex. The third thing I'm going to talk about, and final specific category, is going to be the design of the Anamex universe. From what I could tell by Volume 1, there's a lot of, it's a kind of a mix of simple art with detailed art, and I don't read too much manga, and I think that's kind of a style they tend to use quite a bit. Like, some blocks in the book actually are very simplistic. They're not too detailed, but then there's some that can go super detailed backgrounds and characters and whatnot, so it's kind of a back and forth. And on top of that, it's not specifically a Japanese art style, but I see a bit of, like, an American art style mixed in it as well. It's kind of like a mix of American and Japanese art style in it. I do think the small action scenes, at least of Volume 1, like how they were fairly well detailed and do fairly look well, and then you can kind of get into the slow emotional scenes, and those I think turned out good as well. So when it comes to design, I think it's kind of a mix, like, right there. Like, it can be simplistic, but it can be detailed. It can be, you know, American and Japanese at the same time, because I think the creators kind of had a mix. They kind of wanted to go for more of a manga style, but they kind of had a little bit of an American style mixed in there as well. And like I said, the action scenes were detailed quite enough, and then when you get to the slower scenes, when they're talking, the emotional scenes for some characters, it gets fairly detailed as well there too. So when it comes to design, I think overall it's been fairly good for the book, actually. I'm now going to give my final thoughts on Anamex Beast Armor Volume 1. All I can say is, you know, it's a good start to a series. In my opinion, it gets you interested enough that you're going to want to look into Volume 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. You're going to want to keep reading it. It gets you enticed in the characters, their backstories, their pros and their cons, their problems, and how you want to see them accomplish and overcome these problems of theirs, and basically the challenges that are set ahead of them. And I think it's a good start. I do think, not trying to spoil anything, the events that happened at the end of Volume 1, I think came a little too fast, so I think the pacing of Volume 1 was a little bit faster, but that's also because I'm not a big manga reader. I don't know how the speed and pacing of mangas usually go. I'm more the anime guy, so I don't know if maybe that's a typical thing for manga or not. But like I said, I think the events that happened at the end of Volume 1 leading into Volume 2, I think I would have personally, I think it was a little too fast and I would have pushed it to Volume 2. But besides that, it's still not bad. It's still not, like, the events that happen still make sense to be brought in this early into the story. So it's not like I'm saying these events are kind of ruined because they were brought in, like, in Volume 1. I think the creators worked well into bringing that story in. So basically Volume 2 is more specifically about the events that happen at the end of Volume 1. I'm not trying to go and spoil what it is. It's an event at the school, that's all I'm going to really say. I think it came a little too fast, but I think it came well enough. Like, they did build it up, so it wasn't like it came out of nowhere. It did get built up through most of this book, the events at the end of Volume 1. And then, of course, we're going to see that happen in Volume 2. But besides that, like, pacing just being a smidge, like, I'm a little uncertain of, but not bad. Like I said, I'm fine with it. I read this and I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to Volume 2 and so on. I'm just saying it's more of a personal taste, or at least a personal thought that just came to mind. Not mainly for me, but just a general thought that came to mind when I was thinking about this. But that's basically it. Like I said, I thought it was really interesting. Like I said, the pacing's good. The pacing's, like, I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm just saying that I think for the first issue kind of jumped on a certain thing a little too soon, but they built it up enough to the point where it was paced out well in its own right. And like, Anamex Beast Armor was an interesting read, and I would basically say if you like stuff like, you know, Naruto, Bleach, or Yu Yu Hakusho, I think I remember when I talked to the creator about this when we were working together, that he kind of got inspiration from some shows like that, some creations and stories like that, especially Naruto. So those kind of were his inspiration, or their inspiration, you know, for making this story. So if you're interested in like mangas and animes like that, I think you'd be fairly interested in reading Anamex Beast Armor. And and as for a recommendation, I do recommend buying it. I'm going to put a link in the description below for where you can go to buy it if you want to. And that's it. My review of Anamex Beast Armor. I just have a recommendation of maybe attempting at least the first issue. You can go at least try the first issue and see if you really are interested or not. And like I said before, if you're interested in stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto, or Bleach, I think this would especially be of interest to you, especially if you're interested in Naruto, because I think that's where most of the inspiration for this came from. And that's my review of Anamex Beast Armor. I'm Psycho Spun. If you guys like this video, please subscribe, like it. Stay tuned for my next video. Here's Anamex Beast Armor for all of you, and I'll see you guys later in my next video. Peace.